Picture this. You're a chef trying to make the perfect burger, but it's not your typical kitchen. Instead, you're on a platform maze, dodging angry hot dogs, pickles, and eggs, all while trying to assemble your burger. Sounds strange, right? Well, that's the premise of Burger Time on the NES, a game that blends cooking with chaos. But does it really deliver, or is it just a weird throwaway? Let's dig into this classic and see if it's worth your time, or if it should be left off your plate. Released in 1983 by Data East, Burger Time made its debut in arcades before getting a home console release for the NES in 1985. The arcade version was a hit, combining simple but addictive gameplay with quirky, over-the-top humor. The NES version, while staying true to the original, did what many early console ports did. It tried to capture that arcade magic, but faced the limitations of 8-bit graphics and simpler sound design. Still, it had its charm, and for some, it became a nostalgic favorite, especially with its unique premise of mixing fast food with action platforming. Now, let's get into the gameplay. You control Peter Pepper, a chef who must build giant burgers by walking over the ingredients scattered across the platforms. But it's not that simple. You're constantly being pursued by enemy food items like hot dogs, eggs, and pickles that are more than happy to ruin your culinary creation. To defend yourself, you have a weapon of sorts, pepper. You can sprinkle it on your enemies to freeze them for a brief moment, but timing is everything. It's a quirky take on the platformer genre, and while it's fun, it has some key elements that can be both a blessing and a curse. Let's talk about the positives first. The concept is fresh and fun, pun intended. The idea of constructing a burger in a maze while avoiding enemies is strange but satisfying, especially when you start to chain together moves to trap enemies or outsmart them with clever use of pepper. The levels are designed in a way that gives you a lot of room for strategy, and as the difficulty ramps up, it forces you to think more critically about how to move through the maze. There's also an undeniable charm in the simplicity of the game. With minimal controls, it's easy to pick up and play, and it doesn't take long to get immersed in the action. But let's not sugarcoat it. There are some significant downsides, and they mostly come in the form of the game's difficulty. For starters, the controls feel a bit stiff. Peter Pepper moves a bit slower than you'd like, especially when you're trying to dodge a hot dog coming straight for you. The hit detection can feel a little off at times, and what should be a narrow escape can end up in frustration. The difficulty ramps up fast. The game doesn't give you much room for error. One wrong move and you're restarting the level. As you progress, the enemies get faster and the levels get more crowded. The game quickly becomes punishing, and while some players may relish the challenge, others may find it maddening. There's a fine line between challenging and frustrating, and Burger Time often strays too far into the latter. The music, while catchy in a 1980s kind of way, can get repetitive, and it's not long before you start wishing there was more variety to the soundtrack. The lack of a varied audio experience, combined with the sometimes monotonous gameplay loop, makes long sessions feel tiresome. For a game that's supposed to be fun and quirky, it can wear you down if you aren't into that old-school difficulty. So, is Burger Time worth your time today? If you enjoy old-school arcade games with a quirky twist and you don't mind a high difficulty curve, then sure, give it a try. There's something undeniably charming about its concept, and it certainly offers a unique experience. But if you're someone who gets easily frustrated by stiff controls and a challenging difficulty that feels a bit unfair, Burger Time might not be your cup of tea. It's a love it or hate it kind of game, and while it has its moments, they can be hard to appreciate when you're stuck on the same level for the 10th time. That's my take on Burger Time for the NES. Do you think you could handle the heat in this kitchen, or would you pass on the burger? Let me know in the comments below. If you like this review, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more in-depth looks at classic games. And hey, check out some of my other videos. I've got plenty more nostalgic trips down gaming's memory lane. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.